You're tuned in to Thifault Podcast. Today we're talking to Alexander Tifault. He talks about his passion to grow his fitness business, but never departing from his love for the restaurant industry. He also shares his tips to build a mindset for sustainable success. If you're on Apple Podcasts, please leave a review and help our community grow.
These last couple of years, I've been adopting kind of new ways of looking at things, and failure shouldn't be something that you shy away from, because in that failure, you will possibly learn a thing or two about yourself, about what you need to do, about the kind of effort it takes every single day.
Alexander Tifault from DNA Fit. Welcome to Thifault Podcast.
Thank you very much for having me, Sean.
I'm really happy to have you here, dude.
Yes.
Real pleasure. We haven't known each other very long at all.
At all, no.
In fact, today's the first day we actually met each other.
It is, yes.
Driving over the bridge, I'm learning all about you.
Yes.
Found out you're Latino. Where are you from?
My mother is from Peru.
Peru?
Yeah, and my father is born in England, but he's half French, Canadian, British.
Yeah, so you got a mix going on there. And you speak Spanish. I heard you speaking Spanish to my wife.
Español muy bien, sí.
Ah, sí. Vamos a hacer esto en español. No, we won't
Vamos
do
a
that.
tocar mucha gente en...
So you are the founder of DNA Fit?
Yeah, one of the founders, along with a childhood friend, Danny Ugaldez, and we started this company maybe 15 years ago out of a basement. We sat down in a 2.5, and we were both working at Energy Cardio at the time.
Yeah.
Very busy trainers there.
So you're working as a personal trainer that time?
At the time, yeah.
Okay.
Very young in our careers, starting off, and we said, I think we can do this on our own.
What do you think are some of the key traits that personal trainers need? Like you just said, we felt like we can go and do this by ourselves, and you felt that you had some inherent characteristics that would help you to excel by yourself. What do you think that is?
I mean, being a good listener for sure is one of the things. Being patient with people and being patient with yourself.
How so patient with yourself? What do you feel?
Well, I mean, a lot of times you want people to progress or to reach their goals, whether it's weight loss or whatever those goals may be, and you lose patience sometimes, and like, hey.
So you think you think you're doing something wrong as the trainer? Is that what you mean?
Potentially
overcritical of yourself?
Yes, I mean, in the younger years, yes, but as you get older, you kind of realize a lot of things are out of your control, or what you control is the hour or the 2 or the 3 or the 4 hours you have the person.
Yeah.
And then you try to advise them as much as possible when they're not with you. So
how would you say your rise in the fitness industry was? Was it smooth? Was it just like a steady climb all the way up?
It was always paired with another passion. So I never solely did training.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your other passion?
So the other passion is restaurant work.
Oh, dude, I should have known. I mean, your Instagram is just plastered with beautiful plates of food. And so tell me about that.
So I've been in the restaurant business for 20 years now, and was in the business while I was studying at Concordia. I just never stopped.
Okay.
I never stopped working. I loved it. All of my skills that I have, I was able to use them in the restaurant industry. People skills, communication skills. Still to this day, 20 years later, I still have a lot of fun doing what I do, which not a lot of people can say.
So the restaurant industry, there was a calling there for you, and
definitely, yes.
Where are you at now?
Now I've been at a restaurant in Old Montreal called Garde Manger.
Garde Manger?
Garde Manger, yeah. I've been there for the last 10 years, working as a floor manager, general manager.
But it looks like more than that. Place is like lit.
It is.
I see pictures Kevin Hart there. And
yes.
What's the celebrity connection going on?
It just takes one person from Hollywood to say, when you go to Montreal, you have to go to Garde Manger. Oh. And I think it was the case many, many years ago where someone discovered the place, and a lot of producers, directors, and actors will stay in Old Montreal as well. So they always look for a spot to eat, because none of them will be cooking in the hotel.
No, of course not.
So if they're here for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, they'll be dining out a lot every single night, I would say.
Yeah.
So they would come quite frequently to Garde Manger.
Okay. You told me a little bit about a relationship between you and the head chef at Garde Manger, right?
Yes, yes.
Tell me about that. That was a super interesting story.
So the chef is Chuck Hughes, who's been a friend of mine for, I'd say, the last 15 years. And 4 years into the restaurant, someone approached him and said, "Hey, I think you would be great on a TV show." And Chuck, being Chuck, was like, "I don't do TV. I'm a cook." But I think it was curious, and he learns very quickly. His first episode, his second episode was better. His third was better. His 10th was light years ahead of what the first one was. So very adaptable person. And he approached me and he said, "Listen, I need to lose weight. I'm going to be on TV. I can't wear black shirts and hide this. So we need to lose at least 20 to 30 pounds.
So Chuck Hughes, that was Food Network, right? You said Food Network. He was gaining some weight.
Well, he already had the weight.
Oh, he already
wanted
had
to
the
lose
weight.
it before he started shooting or while he was shooting. I remember asking him specifics. Just give me a number and we'll try to do that. 3 months. I think he said 20 pounds.
Yeah.
So the first training session, I brought a bag and I filled it with 20 pounds. And I said, "This is your bag that you're going to lug around the city, and we're going to go to the mountain. We're going to do outdoor workouts, mostly running, a lot of calisthenics. Every month we took a picture, the same spot, and every month there was a progression till we got to I think 18 or 19 pounds.
Yeah, wow, man. So you helped a chef lose weight, and you yourself work as a manager in a restaurant. You're very fit. So I think sometimes there's this impression that people who work around food all the time, it's a reason or an excuse to get overweight. But you guys, you're proof that that's not necessarily the case.
Well, the culture has changed quite a bit in the last 20 years that I've been in the industry. People are more conscious now about their health. I've been able to eliminate pop as a drink that the cooks would have and front of house would have. I said, "No one is drinking pop while I'm here." Yeah. And I would get very upset to the point where people are like,
"Are you the healthy guy in the restaurant?"
Yes. I don't want to deal with this maniac who's telling me not to drink pop. I'll just drink water and sparkling water. Okay, great.
All right.
Yeah.
So you bring the health consciousness into your workplace.
Of course. I think it's if I didn't, then I would just be a fake or I'm very passionate about health and fitness and restaurant work. So I want to help the people I'm very close to, the people that I see 4 times a week, the people that I see 40 hours a week, trying to help them as much as I can. Because a lot of them are very young too, so they don't have the, let's say, life experience that I have.
Right.
Or
that's true.
Yes.
And the habits being built young really have a tendency to stick a lot better, right?
Of course.
So did Chuck lose that 20 pounds?
Yes, he did. He did, and he was so happy with the weight loss. He said, "I'm going to dedicate an episode to you." Chuck cooks for his trainer. And I remember the producers calling me and saying, "Listen, we can't pay you, but we will feed you for that day." And I said, "All right, I'm in." Sunday morning, 8 a.m., shooting at the restaurant. But I wasn't working at the restaurant at the time. So that was kind of my introduction to the restaurant and kind of introduction to Chuck's world. And I was like, I want to be very much part of this. So maybe a year later, I got the chance to go and I went, and 10 years later, I looked back and...
So 10 years in, Chuck lost his original 20 pounds that he was after. Mm-hmm. He's still the chef there.
Still the chef, yeah.
And he's managed to keep the weight off.
Yeah, I mean, up and down, but he's very active.
Okay.
We've ran, I think, 6 half marathons together. We've done quite a bit of things together through the years.
Listen, for a guy who works around food and you're a trainer, this is the perfect opportunity to ask you, okay, we've just all come out of the holidays. For anybody who's listening, we're in the beginning of January, so 2020, and you just talked about helping Chuck lose 20 pounds. A lot of people put on those 5 pounds over the holidays. Some people put on more than that. Yes. And then there's other people who've just consistently been putting on weight and saying, this is my year. This is my year to lose my weight. New year, new me, dude. So tell me, Alex, for all the Chucks out there listening, and the female Chucks, what's Chuck and female?
Believe in resolutions at all.
Okay. All right. Oh, you don't?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'm anti-resolutions.
Okay, why?
I just feel a lot of them are unrealistic.
Okay.
People don't know what they're getting themselves into.
Good point. Good point. Now, maybe, like, because I was reading not long ago, I think it was 6 to 8% of people will only succeed with their New Year's resolution. So that's not a good
Not
number.
a lot of people. I like these last couple of years, I've been adopting kind of new ways of looking at things. And failure shouldn't be something that you shy away from, because in that failure, you will possibly learn a thing or two about yourself, about what you need to do, about the kind of effort it takes every single day. And I tell you, a lot of people don't want to put that work in. A lot of people don't want to drag themselves in the mud.
Yeah. So you're talking about failing forward, right? Like failing forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
So being, people they love winning, but then, I'm a big sports guy. So I see a lot of teams losing, and then 2 years later they win.
Yeah. As long as you learn from your failure,
exactly.
Right?
Yes,
it can be a terribly tormenting life if we constantly fail and never really learn from those failures. So why don't let me ask you a question. Since there are resolutioners out there,
yes,
and let's see if we can give some advice to help those resolutioners be in that 6 to 8% of people.
On a personal level, what I've started to do is write things down. So
explain that.
Every day I have a chalkboard at home. I remember just memories of growing up. The teacher would call you and say, all right, you're up on the chalkboard, and you'd be so nervous because you were afraid to fail or afraid to disappoint the teacher, and other students would make fun of you.
Yeah.
But now it's like I'm by myself in a room, and the only person that I'm going to disappoint is myself.
Okay.
So I'll write things down that I want to accomplish during the day.
So is it a daily? Oh, is that a daily?
Yeah.
Because mine's not a chalkboard. Mine's my daily journal.
Yes.
I journal every day, and it's repetitive. But it's really important that it's repetitive for me, because I keep banging my ideas into my head.
Yes.
And each day I revisit that. We have people who are listening, thinking about, okay, so I'm writing it down. What do they write down?
They could write down anything, really. Let's say, for instance, I have to wash my clothes. All right, I'll write that down. Oh, I have to train at the gym at 2:00.
Oh, so this isn't just, you're not just chalkboarding a gym routine or your fitness goals. You're getting organized daily.
Organized, yes.
Why do you think that's important, Alex, to get organized?
Because people get sidetracked a lot. People waste a lot of time. People would rather watch Netflix shows than work on their health or work on their relationships with other people or with themselves.
Yeah.
So I feel like writing it down will keep you somewhat accountable, and checking things off is really fun. When you complete a task, check it off.
Yeah.
One of the things I wrote this morning was train, podcast with Sean. If I'm keeping myself accountable, then I'm succeeding. But also the list is, you said something before, it's you're writing it every day. People don't practice enough. So in anything, in any discipline, if you practice, you will become very good at it. So if you practice losing weight, you will become better at losing weight. If you don't practice, then you will not lose weight. If you practice stretching, you will be more flexible. If you practice powerlifting, you will be more powerful. I mean, it's pretty simple and straightforward. So if you practice being organized in your life, if you practice going to the gym, then it just kind of becomes something that you do.
Yeah, I like that idea of practicing.
Yeah.
Failing forward, practicing again, failing forward, and just getting better. So you said before about patience, right? Do you think a lot of the failing of the resolutions could be the people just aren't sticking long enough? They don't have the patience?
They don't have the patience. They don't have the will. They don't have the dedication, the discipline. There are many, many things that come into play. And I feel like having a healthy lifestyle can cure anything people are suffering from. Anxiety, depression.
The rewards are huge for fitness, right?
But it hurts.
It does.
It hurts. It's not easy. It's a process. It's long. As I get older, I make just longer goals, like a year goal. Yeah. So it'll take me a year to get to where I want to be.
The end result of goals, it's accomplished through the daily disciplines of your chalkboard, right? Your chalkboard, what people at first glance see as nothing, you're just writing your daily goals. How is that going to help me lose 40 pounds? But the 40 pounds is lost by adhering to those daily disciplines.
Yes.
Failing forward,
Yeah.
but keep those daily disciplines going.
Accepting too that you're going to fail, accepting too that you're not perfect, accepting, a lot of things about yourself that are just part of you. The voices that talk to you daily. I mean, you make the choice of who you want to listen to. So this morning, there was a voice that was telling me, what are you doing? You're going to go to this podcast. You don't even know what you're going to talk about. You don't even know this guy, Sean. What is this thing
we don't know.
Exactly. So that was one voice. And then the other voice was like, do something new, do something you've never done. You'll learn a thing or two. Maybe you'll meet a really great guy. That voice kind of took over the voice that said, stay in bed.
This is big. What you just said is big because it's fundamental to me, to people being successful. Before you said will, you said people don't have the will. And then what you just said now about letting another voice win the internal struggle, that's willpower.
Yes.
That's will. Are we born with it? Can it be developed? Is it a little of both? And if
it can be. I feel like it kind of goes back to practice. If you make that voice strong, then it will be stronger than the other voice.
How do you make it strong?
There's a slogan that always comes back, and it's like the biggest company in the world is Nike, and just do it. And so that was one of the things that kind of always stuck with me and said, just do it. Don't overthink. Enjoy what you're going to do and just go for it. And then several years ago, there was a movie with Jim Carrey called Yes Man. And I said, this movie is brilliant because if you were to say yes to every single thing in your life, there would be so many more doors that would open. I became more of a yes man several years ago, not closing myself off to ideas that I had about myself and about other people would give me, I guess, too. So, yeah.
Okay, so how do you think that somebody who's trying to get started with any particular goals or get on the road of becoming a yes person, like they want to say yes to opportunity, they want to say yes to the challenges, but they don't have the willpower, right? That's like you just said before, that it needs to be developed.
Yes.
Willpower is not this magical thing that somebody has. No. You have to make daily decisions that set you up for success.
Of course. Yes,
and as you set yourself up for success, you succeed, therefore building more willpower because you're getting better at succeeding.
Yes. I live by a bakery, and every day I pass by the bakery, and the bakery waves at me and says, "You're not coming in today. What are you doing? Come and eat this pistachio croissant. It's so delicious. We got a brownies today. Why don't you come in?" Not today. So I make those decisions. And then some days I'll be like, I'm coming in.
Yeah, but you're going in with good conscience, right?
Yes,
because you've been good 6 days out of the week or whatever. And now you're going in, you're thoroughly enjoying that food that you choose to have.
Another piece of philosophy that I have is you have to earn your pizza, or you have to earn your burger, or earn whatever. If you're not earning it, if you're not putting in the work, then you don't deserve to have it.
Yeah.
So that's what I've kind of trained myself to think and to do. To be, if I'm going to be doing something negative, then I have to be doing three things positive.
Yeah. Can't you live in a way that allows you to sit down and have a glorious pizza, enjoy it, and not even walk away feeling guilty? I guess the guilt comes when, like you said, when the other disciplines aren't present to enable you to go and eat that pizza and still feel glorious about yourself.
And then it's like the other discipline is if you have one slice versus 4 slices, that's another thing too. It's like you can indulge, but how much are you going to go into?
Okay, so we have to talk about that because I am that guy. I can't have one slice. I can't have one chocolate. I just had Julia Ballett on my last podcast, and she was talking about, I have a piece of chocolate. I'm like, how do you do that,
just
man?
One piece.
How do you have one piece? How do you do that? Or are you lying?
No. I mean, you just have to convince yourself that you just need one. And that's enough.
Yeah. I'm sighing over
difficult.
here. I'm like,
it's
that's
very difficult.
I'm personally, I have to just say no.
Yeah.
Like, my discipline is simple. It's the door's open, the door's closed. It's like, if I say yes, I'm all in. The pizza's gone. Like, more than a slice. If I have a piece of chocolate, the chocolate bar is gone. So I'm much better at just like eliminating temptation by saying, nope, not doing it, not today. I know people say low carb works, paleo works, or keto works. So many things, man. Oh, that is, and I was saying that with Julia, actually. We were both confessing that it's terribly confusing, even as for the professionals. Imagine somebody who's just trying to start out and getting themselves straight, and they tell their friends, hey, I started a new diet. I'm doing this thing called paleo. And they're there, no, you should try keto. And then somebody, oh, no, I tried the South Beach diet. And then the person who was celebrating getting started is already getting bombarded with confusion because everybody's got an opinion.
Yes. It really is a balance. You know, sometimes I have an image of like a justice balance.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you're eating more and not exercising enough, obviously the balance will go into weight gain. If you're even, then it'll be weight maintenance. If you're burning more calories than you're consuming, then you're definitely in the weight loss kind of realm. I mean, I go to the grocery store and I go through 3 aisles. I don't do the other aisles.
Ooh, you stay out of the cereal aisle.
There's no cereal aisle, no pop aisle. There's some aisles that are just,
it's crazy.
Like
those Oreos,
how many
cookies,
different kinds of cookies do you want to have?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I think 5 is enough.
Dude,
I don't need 30 different varieties.
Yeah.
And now with health too, it's like the same thing. It's like, it's getting to a point where you're like walking in and you're like, hey, I want a healthy bar.
Yeah.
Like, there's 8 to 10 choices right now. What do? I need to read all the tags to be like, well, this one has too much sugar. This one has not enough protein. So it becomes very difficult for people to make choices and good choices. Another thing is people don't cook enough for themselves. You know, it's they think, I'm not a good cook. Well, because you don't practice cooking, you're never gonna become a good cook if you don't practice. So I cook a lot at home, and I love cooking because I know what I put in it, and I know how to make things taste really good because I work at a restaurant and I ask a lot of questions. But people don't cook enough for themselves. Like in Montreal, there's so many restaurants that open, and they're all full because people don't like to eat at home.
Do you think that's I agree. Do you think that's a problem as far as people being more accountable to themselves, that they're leaving such a valuable it's such a valuable activity, cooking for yourself, that it creates this relationship with your food that inevitably, I think, affects your accountability.
Of course. So I like that you said relationship with food, because I see everything now as a relationship with something. So let's say, for instance, when I was young, my relationship with money was very poor.
Okay.
I had it, I would spend it, go on vacations, gamble, everything you could imagine with money.
Yeah.
And as I got older, I said, I need to change this relationship because it's not doing anything for me other than just giving me the moment of pleasure that I have, and that's it. So I changed my relationship with money, but I changed my relationship with food too, because I started cooking. And since then, I mean, I love cooking. I enjoy it. I love having a friend over and cooking for them and being like, oh, is that all we're going to eat? Like, no, there's more stuff, but everything is really, really healthy, you know?
Yeah. Oh man, that's I think that cooking is right up there in the top. And I when people say they don't have time, I'm like, what are you chasing after in life when you don't have time to cook for yourself and your family anymore? I'm not judging. People can do whatever they want. However, I think that inevitably affects their health. I think it really affects them as people when they've lost the relationship to preparing food for themselves and loved ones. And I
mean, with Netflix, with social media now, people are spending a lot of time on those platforms. I mean, if you cut it half an hour, you could make yourself food.
Yeah,
It's
fast.
as simple as
Cooking
that.
is not as time consuming as everyone thinks it is, right?
No,
You can make
it's
some very delicious meals in a very short period of time.
Yes. But it's just changing that relationship people have with food and being more, practicing cooking until you get better at it. Reading book. I mean, you could just look through Google and you'll find every single recipe
all there
of
for free, even.
exactly. So when people tell me like I don't have time or I'm not a good cook, I'm like, well, I'm just hearing noise,
Okay, so we talked about New Year's. You're not a huge fan of the resolutions, but we're trying to help people be in that 6 to 8% if they decided to go for it in 2020.
So another thing is consistency.
Talk about that.
When people say, "Oh, I want to work out twice a week," and I say, "Twice a week's not going to get you very far." If you want to work out and you're serious about losing weight or having a resolution, it's got to be in the 4 to 5 times a week. But then people take, I go to the gym and that's exercise. No, you walk 20 minutes instead of driving. That's considered a small exercise. You take the stairs instead of taking the electric stairs.
Yeah.
Those can pile up at the end of a week, at the end of a month, at the end of a year. So people kind of don't see the bigger picture of making small little changes. Those small little changes add up.
Yeah. So there you were back to your patience again.
Yes.
So again, it seems like we've repeated that. Lack of patience may be one of the big reasons people don't fall into that 6 to 8%. They're just not patient enough with that. It's got to be all now, and it doesn't take into account failing forward again. But in the end, you're not getting your result. You think, okay, this isn't working, and you quit.
I mean, how many percent? It's like 90% of people fail.
Yeah.
There has to be a way that people kind of rewire themselves, I feel.
Yeah.
They just need to really, really talk to themselves and be like, what are we doing here? What are we trying to do? Why are we doing this? Are we going to feel better about ourselves? Are we not? So there's like conversations that you have to have with yourself that are very difficult. I remember last year having a conversation with myself, riding a bike after having a couple of drinks, finishing work. It was 2 a.m, riding home for 25 minutes. And it was a serious conversation. And I was like swearing at myself. And I was like really being hard with myself and saying, why were you like this in the past and blah, blah, blah. But then the next day I was like, okay, I'm happy I had that conversation. But like you said before, it's like I don't need to hammer myself every day. I can love myself too.
Yeah.
So sometimes you need to have a conversation, I feel.
You were productively criticizing yourself. That's different than just being hard on yourself. You had a tough conversation, but you were being productive about it. You weren't just beating yourself down. Maybe that's something, right?
Definitely,
We
yes.
got to have a hard talk with ourselves without it definitely falling into the category of beating yourself up.
And then writing what came out of that conversation with yourself is a great way to kind of see. People are visual. People want to see what they want to attain as goals or what they want to do, and then making it realistic,
By writing it down, it brings your thoughts into reality.
Yes,
and
yes.
Yeah, and I think that it forces you to go deep when you write things down, because you're not, people say, well, I don't know what to write. I'm like, because you're not going deep enough in your head. And that's why you're confused, because you've lost you don't know how to go deep with your thoughts. Prove it, write it down, and you'll see.
More and more people are waiting for something to happen and then reacting instead of, if you're living unhealthy. My friend recently got operated for gallbladder stones. A lot of it is diet related. So now there has to be a reaction to this, and it's healthier eating habits. Yeah. Whereas if he would have adopted something 2 years ago, maybe he wouldn't have gotten operated. So people wait for the worst thing to happen and then they react. And then they're like, okay, now I'm going to change.
Oh, boy.
When you could have changed before.
And let's hope it's not too late when they finally do react.
Exactly,
right?
yes. So a lot of it is when I was 24, I projected myself at 40, and I said, man, I want to be fit at 40. I want to be strong at 40. I still want to be able to do what I do at 24, maybe not as much. So I constantly do that, and I'm doing it now for 50. And I'm like, what am I going to be at 50? I'm going to be so strong.
And you're 41 right now.
41, yeah.
Yeah.
24 to 40, 16 years it took for me to get to where I projected myself. I remember going to the park and seeing a guy playing volleyball, and I was like, this guy's old, but he's killing everyone on the court. That's who I want to be.
Yeah.
That's that guy, that right there. That's the guy.
It's super inspiring seeing people who are older, like living life well, isn't it? It's just
like
tremendous.
Just happy faces, just like smiles, and like they know something about life. And I want to find out what that is. They have secrets that they have.
Yeah.
So now I've acquired a lot of secrets, and now I'm kind of like sharing my secrets.
Alexander Thifault,
Oui.
Thank you so much for being on Fork Podcast today. And people can reach out to you through Instagram.
Yes.
Is that the best way?
Yeah, through Instagram would be the best way for sure.
All right. I'm going to have that in the show notes. And
fantastic.
And I hear that you're going to be opening a new studio very soon.
Yeah, so the studio will be changing locations. We're in Griffintown currently. We're potentially looking somewhere Griffintown, maybe Verdun, where I live now. We'll see. We'll see where the wind takes us.
Yeah.
It's
on the chalkboard.
It's on the chalkboard of my mind.
That's right. Well, Alex, thank you so much. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here today. And
thank you very much for having me, Sean. It was great. Great talking.
Well, you have an awesome day, and you guys out there have an awesome day too. Thanks, dude.
Thank you.